Welcome to Luther's world of cryptids, ghosts, and the unexplained. If you're into strange things that fly above us in the skies, or creepy things that go bump in the night, then you have come to the right place. Much like cryptid creatures or folklore tales, they all have a home here, and so do you in Luther's world. Welcome to chapter 16. And this is I Never Thought It Would Happen to Me. Real stories told by the people that had the experiences. Our first experience is going to be a Ouija board story told by J.D. Drake. Then we hear from Nyla Rose as she recounts a UFO sighting.
Blue collar badass J.D. Drake, AEW superstar, 20-year professional wrestler, 37-year-old believer in the supernatural. I was driving home from a softball tournament one day. Long day. I'd been on the field for 8 or 9 hours, maybe 10, and was driving home that night. It's an hour and 15-minute drive to where I was going. And as I'm driving, it's late at night, it might be midnight or a little later, and I'm driving, I'm looking straight ahead, and out of nowhere, I see something come through somebody's yard, and it's just a blur, but it's coming at me, and it's fast enough to where I slam on the brakes and look kind of to my left, and I see nothing. I see the blur coming towards me, this is about to run into the road. And sure enough, there's nothing there when I look. So I continue driving home. I get to my friend's house. My ex-wife is there, and two of my best friends. My best friend and his wife, actually. His wife is she pagan? Is she Wiccan? Either way, she's into witchcraft. We had just started messing around with Ouija boards. And we got on the Ouija board that night. We asked a bunch of different questions and all of that. And then, while 3 of them had their hand on the planchet, I've taken a break because, we're partaking in the alcoholic beverages at the time. I'm not hammered by any means. But I sit back and I'm like, you guys do your thing. And it starts going crazy. Nobody asks a question, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Then it says, "Hi, Mom." And we all look at the board like, well, what are you talking about? We're all scared. And it says, "I'm here. I'm your child." I'm like, no. It spells this out on the Ouija board. So we ask, whose child? And it says J and D. My ex-wife was named Deanna. I named James. So I put my hand on the planchet. We get to talking, and he says, "I'll be home soon. Don't worry. My name is Corey." Corey? Yes. We asked, "Male or female?" "My name is Corey. I'll be home soon. Tell DJ I said hello." That's my oldest son's name, and he was, 1840. He was 4 years old at the time? 5? Or about to turn 5. And we were terrified. This Ouija board shouldn't know this. I'm driving to a location, I see something shoot through a damn yard, and it's like it attaches to me, and I drive to the house and we start playing with a Ouija board, and then I have somebody tell me, "I'll be home soon. My name's Corey. I'm your son." That's crazy. 2 months later, ex-wife takes a pregnancy test. She's pregnant. We were told it was a girl up until the week before he was born. Came out a boy named Corey, who I just spent Father's Day with. And when he was born, if you put a baby picture beside my oldest son DJ and my youngest son Corey, you can't tell the difference. They're both the same child. The ironic thing, when my ex-wife was pregnant with our first son, when she was pregnant with DJ, She had a miscarriage. She was pregnant with twins. Figure that one out. The blue collar badass J.D. Drake. It's a weird ass ghost story, huh?
Alright, me again. So this next story is about aliens, or, UFOs. Say what you want, believe what you want. UFOs exist. Why? Because UFO stands for Unidentified Flying Object. Any object that you see that you cannot identify is a UFO. If it's aliens, that's a different story. But when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I distinctly remember being at my grandma's house. It was nighttime, and the skyline, like all the buildings in the area, didn't go above about like the 6th floor. I don't know what that is measurement wise, but there were no like tall skyscrapers. Everything was open sky above, 6 floors up. And one night I grew up in the city, like in the heart, like very urban area. Not much to do. You sit out on the stoop, you look out your window, whatever. My grandma used to love to look out her window, like that was her jam. And one night she's looking out the window, and I go and I join her, and there is like a weird static light in the sky. And it would have made sense if we lived in an area where there, the tall towers, the radio towers, whatever. But again, absolutely was not. Just not a thing where we grew up. I can't explain it. It looked like some kind of aircraft was just hovering. It looked like a solid object. It wasn't wavering or anything. It was like just still as could be, with a couple of red lights like up the center. It just sat there for the longest time. Eventually, there were like a few more like white lights on the outside of it. So it had like this column of like red lights in the middle, and then like these white lights on the outside, almost like parentheses. I don't know if that was like a beacon or what. I don't know. Can't explain it. But it just sat there, and then maybe like an hour later, a few hours later, whatever, sometime later, it starts to slowly move. And it was like at this point, everyone was getting creeped out. People's phones were ringing. I remember everybody was calling, "Girl, you see this thing? What is it? I don't know." Everybody's even talking. Nobody can explain what it is. I think it may have even ended up on the news at that time. But eventually it floated away or flew away or whatever it did. It wasn't there anymore. And to this day, I think I saw an alien spaceship.
If you have a story that you want to share on the show, film yourself telling your tale, or write it out in full detail and email it to me at luthersworldmail@gmail.com, and we'll use it on a future chapter. Next up is the devil himself, Drexl. This is Defining the Unknown.
Greetings and salutations, I'm Drexl, homicidal artist and king of Northwest Hardcore, and I'm here to define the unknown on Luther's World. And today's word of the day is chupacabra. See, chupacabra comes from two Spanish words. The first is chupar, which means to suck, and cabras, which means goats. So chupacabra literally means goat sucker. It's a legendary creature in folklore of parts of the Americas, starting back to livestock attacks in Puerto Rico in 1975. But it wasn't officially named a chupacabra until about 1995, after 8 sheep were discovered dead, each with 3 puncture wounds in their chest and completely drained of their blood. See, the name comes from the animal's reported vampirism. The chupacabra is said to attack and drink the blood of livestock, including goats. Physical descriptions of the creature vary, with some people saying it looks more like a dog, some people say it looks more like a lizard or like alien-like, and other people have said it's like a dog with like lizard skin. And some reports said that it's a big, heavy creature, maybe the size of a small bear, with like rows of spines or spikes going from the neck all the way down to the base of the tail. Eyewitness sightings have been claimed in Puerto Rico and have since been reported as far north as Maine and as far south as Chile, and even outside the Americas in countries like Russia and Philippines. Many of these reports have been disregarded as incorroborated or lacking evidence. Sightings in northern Mexico and southern United States have been verified as canids affected by mange. And according to biologists and wildlife management officials, the chupacabra is an urban legend. See, I don't believe that. I know Chupacabra. He lives in Reno, Nevada, and he's a really good wrestler, and you should check him out. Luther, back to you.
It's time for the paper trail. And this one is real life paranormal experience. My name is Kyle. When I was a child, I had a now passed away aunt named Amy. She lived in an older house. There were always strange noises, the sound of crying, things in the wrong place when she'd get home. But the weirdest thing that would happen was every morning in the bathroom sink, there would be blood in it. I saw this myself. Aunt Amy had a friend who worked in real estate or something to that degree, researched past owners of the house. It turns out a man used to perform back alley illegal abortions in that house and probably washed his hands in the sink, leaving the blood. She had a priest come several times to bless the house. Thankfully, the paranormal activity stopped and my aunt could live out the rest of her life in peace. I will never forget seeing the blood in the sink. It freaks me out to this day. And very well it should. Thank you.
Hey guys, this is Glacier, and I'm reading another fan letter for Luther's World. Alright, here we go. Hey Luther, my husband and I were driving home late one night after visiting his mom's house about 8 years ago. We were both sober and wide awake. We were talking to each other when all of a sudden, a huge humanoid creature with bat wings and a long skinny tail that had a barb at the end of it flew by. I freaked out and yelled, "Did you see that?" He said, "Yeah," being a little bit skeptic. He tried to play it off as it was a huge owl. I said, "There's no way that was an owl. It was way too big. It looked human and had a tail." I was freaking out the whole time. After that night, we never saw anything like that again.
I'm Trevor Wolf. I train at the Nightmare Factory, and I'm here to read some of Lucer's fan mail. This is Ghost Girl on the Bed. When my youngest son was a newborn, I had his crib set up next to my bed. Made night feedings easier. I woke up one night and there was a little girl sitting on the foot of my bed staring at my baby. I sat straight up and she turned, looking at me and smiled and disappeared. The baby slept in my arms the rest of the night. Christy.
I would like to thank all my guests, thank everybody that sent in stories, thank my storytellers, and most importantly, I want to thank you, the viewers. So until next time, let the chaos run strong and stay